Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NFT Apparel Pitch Deck presentation. This is a presentation specifically for those looking to invest in our upcoming seed sales. What we're going to cover today is exactly what we're trying to build here at NFT Apparel, and that's a platform to stake NFTs, print on merchandise, and to realize a share of profits from each sale of your NFT design applied to a piece of merchandise in the NFTA token. So as an overview, we'll go over a little bit of market research with some SWOT analyses, touch on our hypothesis, what our goals are, what NFT apparel is, why do we need it. There are a number of different instances whereby we're solving real world problems through the NFT apparel platform. Then we'll touch on why will folks want to wear and invest in NFT apparel. We know people spend a lot of money on expensive profile picture NFTs. So we're looking to experiment with how disruptive applying NFT designs to merchandise will be. We'll also review what the team have achieved so far, what's coming up, and what will lie beyond the MVP. So just very briefly, many of us are aware of the boom in the NFT market during the previous bull run. We are aware that currently trading volumes are down, like 99% on some days, which is quite astounding. However, it isn't surprising. This is just a natural ebb and flow of the adoption curve. As we can see here, in 2022, we've exceeded 200% over the previous year with $54 billion of trading volume in NFTs, which is quite impressive. And that only 4.5% of Ethereum addresses actually hold NFTs, which is really interesting. So there are some studies that are getting around. One from Report Linker forecasted that the NFT market is to grow to $147 billion by the year 2026. The growing number of big brands entering the market, the emergence of fractionalized NFTs, and the growing application of AI in the market will lead to sizable demand. So there is a lot to look forward to for future growth of NFTs. Honing in on the market specifically, through a SWOT analysis, we can see that the revenue, which we just touched on, OpenSea themselves have turned over $32 billion in trade volume. And the interest in NFTs have surpassed ERC20s or even Bitcoin through Google searches. And as mentioned, only 4.5% of Ethereum addresses even hold an NFT, which would be quite surprising to many given the popularity of NFTs. And the weaknesses being that, for this market, it is emerging, it is new, so it is moving so quickly that there is a great risk of projects falling behind from lacking innovation and the like. There are also some barriers to entry, mainly the users having to be competent with using wallets safely, and just the general consciousness around NFTs. The consciousness being particularly that it's just an expensive JPEG, as opposed to all these kinds of utility that we can bake into each of the NFT offerings. Of course, they're non-liquid, which is fractional NFTs are coming through to try to address that problem. And there are new standards which is also a great opportunity, but at the same time, we risk being stuck to a redundant standard, I suppose. And of course, the weaknesses being that there is a lot of speculation within this market. But, on the plus side, there's a lot of room for innovation. The amount of things that you can do with NFTs really is limited by your imagination. We could probably trace it back further, but the first well-known use of an NFT was CryptoKitties back in 2017, which were selling NFTs for hundreds of Ethereum. And of course, brands are looking very keenly at NFTs as a vehicle to transition their customer base into Web3 solutions. So of course, the threats to this industry are regulations. There's not a lot of clarity at the moment around what or how regulators are looking to manage how we can and cannot use or purchase or sell NFTs. There is, of course, always the risk that there's a scam at the consensus level of a network that hosts the NFTs. These are obviously quite rare, but we can never exclude these possibilities. And other general scams, such as phishing links that trick people into disclosing seed phrases, and fake mint links. People, particularly for NFTs that have yet to mint, a lot of scammers will send mint links to people that are following those NFTs. And of course, this market, as we're seeing now, is very much subject to speculative behaviors. So if the market is risk off, which based on the macro recently, there's been every reason to be risk off, this does impact NFTs as a whole. So if we quickly switch towards the fashion industry, which is the industry we're looking to disrupt with our platform, the revenue is $759 billion just in 2021. There's a great variety within the market, lots of alternatives and emerging trends. And of course, the market is everywhere. Everyone wears clothes. And the quality of these clothes is what sets the brands apart often. But sometimes these trends are volatile, they change quickly. So it's, while you might hit on a niche market for some time, it's very likely that will change by the time you're able to adapt to whatever the trend of the day is, as they say. A lot of clothing retailers, their variants and the materials they use can be quite subpar, which that does lead into like the counterfeiting and things like that, because not everyone can tell the difference between a real and a fake. So it's very easy for people that are able to produce items quickly, copy a brand and front run that very brand. And of course, the market being so saturated, there are so many brands. But in terms of the opportunities for this particular market, it's hard to make the case in first world countries that quality of life is improving, but that does definitely appear to be the case in emerging third world nations, particularly the BRICS nations. So they're getting a greater taste for NFTs and such. Of course, there is the opportunity to take fashion into the actual metaverse as well, depending upon whether there is a resurgence in that particular trend once positive sentiment returns to the market. And of course, NFT Apparel, stake your NFTs to customize merch, which is the opportunity that we're pursuing with our product here. And the threats to this market is the general consumer consciousness. Now that people are better educated and have access to information, they're becoming quite particular on how they would like their merchandise and their products produced and manufactured. Things like organic materials, production methods which are low impact on the environment. These kinds of things do have an impact on the likelihood that people will make purchases. And of course, the market is insanely competitive. Everyone wears clothes. So, for a number of decades, these brands have had time to build a presence within this market. So if we quickly just pop over to e-commerce, we can see that, there's, as we're aware, just about everyone on the planet, more or less, has a smartphone and has access to the internet. And e-commerce facilitates a global market. So, someone from Indonesia can compete with someone from Australia, selling fashion goods, and items. So it is likely that, say, in Indonesia, they'd be able to produce it at a lower cost, making them more competitive. The weaknesses of this industry is that some items and products and services are more suitable for e-commerce than others. Fashion does face challenges in this particular industry, primarily because we like to try before we buy. Typically, though, this may be a trend that should be reassessed on account of global lockdowns from COVID and the like. So, as for the opportunities, the market's still continuing to grow, with $4.9 trillion worth of commerce worldwide through e-commerce solutions. And of course, there are marketing opportunities too, the use of influencers, building communities, and, allowing the use of NFTs as a vehicle for brands. So we're starting to see a lot more of that now. And I think cryptocurrencies and the NFT market in general really have been the experimental grounds to really test the effectiveness of influencers and community groups in getting across some marketing for a particular product. So, threats to this industry is, of course, the competition, because barriers to entry are so low these days. It's easy for people to begin selling their products through e-commerce solutions. There's a lot of fraud in the market too, because through the way in which people can utilize e-commerce, they have a relative amount of control over their anonymity. So you've got also the data concerns linked to users' personal information. And of course, you have monopolies as well, such as Amazon, which basically control a significant amount of market share. So from these SWOT analyses, we're able to form a series of assumptions. So I guess the first one that we're leaning into is that one industry's weakness is another's strength. So NFTs can give access to brands. So we're seeing a lot of attention from the likes of Nike with the artifact NFTs. We're seeing a lot of like Reebok that are selling shoes as NFTs as well. And then you've got, fashion e-commerce. It provides a reverse compatible utility to speculative NFTs, and that's what we're seeking to achieve with our protocol. And that NFTs through on-chain processes can protect brands and reduce the incidence of fraud and counterfeiting. And when you're starting up in fashion, it does cost time and money. NFTs reduce the barriers to entry and preserve the brand's intellectual property. So, overall, the fashion industry is saturated with cheaper variants and counterfeits. And we look at existing NFT standards, ones like the ERC 721, which is one of the earlier standards, is lacking in utility to some extent. There's only so much you can do with an ERC 721. And that access to equity in smaller companies is very limited. Like typically a company needs to be publicly traded and through an initial public offering on let's say, the Australian stock market, for example. So unless you have a broker or you're licensed to trade through through the ASX, you wouldn't be able to access equity for a fashion company or the like. So from these assumptions, we're able to form some hypotheses. So we believe that NFT staking to print on merchandise and share profits with the NFT staker will establish utility for all NFTs. The NFT staking and QR code verification, when applied to merchandise, will eliminate counterfeiting. If it doesn't have the QR code that links on chain to the actual NFT, then we can consider it a counterfeit or an imitation. Our hypothesis is that the NFTA token will operate as a gated token for the settlement of NFT apparel merchandise sales. And by gating, using NFTA as a gated token, we can also redistribute profits to NFT stakers and NFTA token stakers through the NFTA token. So we also hypothesize that if we provide the infrastructure, like what we're working on now, product customization tools, backends for suppliers, a very, very easy to digest user story from the NFT marketplace, and for creators to create their own, deploy their own collections and minting dApps with a personalized front end, so they can direct their communities to mint, from their collection. We believe this will reduce barriers to participation for new and existing NFT brands. So the goal really is here to create a one-stop shop for, I guess, not only NFT enthusiasts, but also new and emerging brands to directly benefit from merchandise sales, to utilize their NFT by utilizing their NFTs on product designs. So when you own an NFT, you basically now own the intellectual property for that particular NFT. That is one of the key assumptions that we're also operating under. The goal is also to experiment with the hypothesis that NFTs are a good vehicle to share profits, protect intellectual property, and that the sentimental appeal of an NFT, you know, those expensive profile picture NFTs could potentially be quite disruptive to the fashion industry. You know, and through that, our goal is to create an ecosystem of dApps that continually eliminate all barriers to entry for artists and creators deploying NFTs. And also, as we mentioned, for brands looking to break into the NFT space or are looking to use NFTs as a primary vehicle to basically support an emerging brand. And ultimately, what we want to do is we want to demonstrate that through our through NFT Apparel, that it is a proof of concept for NFT gated products and profit redistribution models that reward creators, customers, and investors. And if this goes well, we scale it well beyond outside of the fashion industry. So what is NFT Apparel, and why does Web3 need it? So firstly, it's creating a new use case for all NFTs, which is really important to emphasize that. NFT Apparel enables NFT owners to stake their NFTs and accumulate a share of profits, 20 to 25% based on their NFTA token stake that they have upon settlement of a sale on our storefront. NFT Apparel will be a protocol that is reverse compatible with NFTs. Any NFT can be staked, and the visual metadata will be uploaded. This will eliminate the JPEGs that you can go to, like, say, Redbubble, and you can upload a JPEG onto a shirt or something like that. We feel that while print on demand gives a lot of control to the customer, it doesn't give control over the use of the intellectual property. I can go copy a popular meme right now and paste it onto a shirt. Nothing's stopping me from doing that. So we think that that's a problem because the person who created that meme, for example, will likely never see a cent of profit from their design. So yeah, customers mint an NFT as proof of ownership that corresponds with their QR code that will be verifiable on chain. So this will likely be a V2 deployment. Ultimately, the QR code will make reference to the transaction hash, and the transaction hash will be linked to the original NFT token contract, token ID. And as we go down further, a big focus on what we're trying to achieve here as proof of concept is the tiered revenue sharing. So, for example, you know, profits realized by NFT stakers from sales will be proportionate to the amount of NFTA token they stake. So, just as an example, you know, if they've got $1,000 of NFTA token staked, they can get 21% of profits. If they've got nothing staked, then they'll get the minimum 20. If they stake up to $20,000 of NFTA token, they'll be eligible for 25% of profits from each sale of their NFT. So we also think that this platform provides a good opportunity for startups. You know, it can be expensive, time-consuming, and difficult to source suppliers. It requires marketing. So, you know, through NFT Apparel, as we build our audience, these fashion retailers and emerging brands and NFT communities can have an access to a wider audience as well. Existing brands bring their customer base with them. This is a major focus of our current, our marketing, whereby we have our business developer team constantly reaching out to NFT projects to get them to utilize our current Web2 storefront protocol. But as we deploy towards our Web3 product, then it'll be the holders of each of these NFTs in these communities, as well as teams that have their own team NFTs to offer an exclusive line of products from their NFT. And so by and large, you know, Web3 is still scarce on real world applications. We're aware that, you know, Web 1 was the read function. Web 2 is the read write function, you know, like Facebook, and all you can really do is just post, like read stuff and post. Web 3 is the read, write, and then the execute. So we're looking to see the execute component manifest into something that's tangible in the real world. And we think that startups that utilize more novel DAO-based business models will be more attractive to new users that are seeking to have exposure to activities of a particular, whether it's a company, a small business. We do believe that an elaborate profit redistribution model is highly scalable to businesses of all sizes. So we think that IP and counterfeit protection through the proof of ownership, which is established by NFTs, is something that is really important. And there aren't a great deal of solutions for that on the market, because it's still a major problem. And NFTs can protect the intellectual property by being verifiable on chain, and as we mentioned, print on demand, such as, Redbubble, is, it's highly accessible. Nothing's stopping anyone from copying and pasting a JPEG, but effectively what gives the customer that degree of control is the same thing that also takes away from the integrity of an artist's intellectual property. It's very easy just to copy and paste. And in this sense, it's not practical for a brand to operate through a print-on-demand service, but this is where having NFT gating changes the proposition significantly, because the brands can now protect their intellectual property. So NFT Apparel provides authentic on-chain verifiable use of IP through NFT gated proof on demand. So as I just explained, if you don't have the NFT, you can't produce an authentic product. You can, of course, go and print on demand somewhere else, but if you can't verify it on chain, it's an imitation. So on-chain verification for logistics. So we also think that this is one of the instances where we touched on seeing a tangible, something tangible from the Web3 concept, whereby, through deliveries in the use of QR codes on the customer's end to confirm the arrival of items in the post is a very practical way to ensure that deliveries are being fulfilled, and also putting incentive structures for the customer to actually verify arrival of items through QR codes. So we are looking to implement in the future a cashback system, and the cashback will be locked until the user, rather the customer, scans the QR code. As soon as they scan that QR code, they will then be eligible for some cashback in the NFTA token. So why will folks want to wear it, and why would they want to invest in NFT apparel? Well, users that purchase NFTs have already spent significant sums of money with very little guarantee that it will rise in value. It's purely speculative in this sense, and there is a degree of aesthetic value to it. But as of course, in these speculative environments, that does often get lost. So you can have the best looking NFT in the world, but it could effectively die or be a dead NFT, right? But through NFT apparel, arguably, the more aesthetically appealing or better looking an NFT is on a piece of merchandise, the more likely that it's more likely, I guess, in this sense, that the customer would go ahead and purchase an NFT applied to a piece of merchandise. So, why else would you want to wear your NFTs? Well, something that would otherwise be confined to your Twitter profile picture. You can actually put it on your shirt or have it on your home living merchandise, and it'll get to see the light of day. Everyone wears clothes, and we know that you can look at what someone's wearing, and it's very easy for us to start making assumptions about their personality. And I think NFTs is a niche within the fashion industry to represent people's values and things like that. It's largely untapped. As we've touched on so far, print on demand is not a new concept, and the idea of NFTs on physical items, or even as physical items, is not new either. But what is new with what we're doing is the redistribution of profits and the incentive structures that will be unique to the NFT apparel protocol. So release a brand out of your NFTs. It's a really interesting phenomena from NFTs that otherwise had no use case and were purely speculative at their conception. Bored Apes is one of the clearest examples of this. It had no value proposition at the very beginning. It was only after speculation had led to so much trade activity that effectively a company, Yuga Labs, was able to form around Bored Apes, and then it led to a lot of other innovation that was unlocked purely by holding a Bored Apes NFT. So one example is, of course, the Bored and Hungry Burger Shop, which is one of the Bored Apes holders NFT they've used effectively to market the store. Interestingly, one of their burger wrappers with the NFT printed on it sold for a few $100s on eBay, which, you know, if you think about it, it's pretty crazy. And of course, these NFTs are taking on a personality within these digital worlds as well. So, you know, Eminem and Snoop Dogg released like a rap song about Bored Apes using their Bored Ape avatars. So it's starting to catch on, and it's starting to have it become marketable in a branding sense. Just to elaborate on this one step further, you know, you often see on Twitter people will like screenshot their offers on their NFT, and I remember one really clearly, which was a crypto punk. Someone received an offer for $7 million worth of Ethereum, and he went and made a thread as to why he turned down that offer, and a lot of it was that he had effectively admitted that he was able to build a brand that he otherwise would not be able to, that his followers would otherwise have very little interest in him, you know, because it's not like just out of virtue of holding a Bored Ape, you've all of a sudden got amazing market insights, or that you become influential, that you start to get a following based on your insights. You become influential because you belong to a handful of people in the world that happen to hold a Bored Ape. So yeah, it's very fascinating how the speculative nature of NFTs have led to this branding potential, you know, and existing brands can design and mint exclusive NFTs to protect their IP for limited collections. So we know that a lot of fashion retailers, for example, will release limited editions for a particular season. So you might have a summer collection, and then soon as summer's over, you'll never see those items, you know, on sale again. Having it protected by NFTs, the brands actually will then have the ability to sell old NFT collections from previous seasons to those that follow the brand and believe that it still has profit potential. So NFT apparel has significant appeal to new and existing NFT projects seeking immediate utility within their communities. You know, it's something that's a very low-hanging fruit that we're presenting to these NFT communities, whereby we've increased effectively the floor on the limitations of their utility. So at the very least, through our protocol, all NFTs will be able to be staked and sold by applying the NFT design on merchandise and sharing the profits from the sales. So what have we achieved so far towards these ends? We established the NFT Apparel LLC. We registered it in Australia back in November 2021. During that time, we just were slowly putting the foundations in place as we continued through discovery and, you know, finalizing the actual architecture of the contracts and what will be required to bring this dream to life, I guess you would say. So we partnered as well with a global print-on-demand manufacturer, Printful. The capacity that we've partnered with them is that they're building us custom APIs for integrations on our protocol for customization tools, and they have offered, and we also have lower wholesale prices than if you were just to go there to sign up yourself. If you went there to sign up yourself, all your prices would be much higher than the ones that we'd have negotiated as a part of this partnership. So the discovery and designing and implementing, you know, the actual architecture of our design, that discovery was ongoing up until April 2022. And at the same time, we went and launched Peak Finance. It's a protocol that supports the Peak token, which is algorithmically pegged to the value of Matisse. So we did this because we recognized that the layer 2 narrative, for example, has yet to take off yet, and that we wanted to build an ecosystem based on a tomb design, but bringing our own nuance and utility into it. So this is relevant for us to touch on because we do seek to break in some degree of utility from the Peak Finance protocol with NFT Apparel, and that will primarily be profit sharing on the Andromeda side for sales and the use of the Peak token to actually finalize purchases with NFT Apparel. So when we launched, we managed to get $11 million of Matisse staked in the Genesis pools. On the first day, we had $1 million of trade volume. And currently we've got Peak as a currency that you can go to cryptocart.cc and actually purchase gift cards with, which is really cool. We've got a lottery DApp as well, and you can make purchases with NFTs using the Peak token. And as I just mentioned, we will expand towards NFT apparel merchandising. So the idea there is that you could effectively be farming merchandise through the Peak protocol. As you farm Peak, you can go and spend that on merchandise opportunities within NFT apparel, which again, we think is a really cool proposition for a tangible incentive structure for, a DeFi product or the use of rewards from it. So in July, so just to touch on briefly as well, of course, we've launched our NFT Apparel Web 2 storefront in June. Currently, it's just a print on demand, but we're reaching out to NFT communities, and we're setting them up dedicated storefronts for their community at the moment to purchase their products. And we share a portion of the product for now with the communities, the teams, until we've deployed Web3. So in July, the NFT Apparel Marketplace went live on Matisse, Andromeda, Avalanche, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, and Polygon. So we're currently on 5 chains. The team raised $125,000 US in a private pre-seed raise with a closed group of angel investors. And by the end of August, we launched our no-code deployment MAS, or minting as a service DApp. So this way, users just have to upload the image, the JPEGs of their collection along with a JSON file, which just specifies the traits and such. And that will be available on the above mentioned chains as well. So far, we've released some NFT collections. So we have the Matisse Ninjas and the Poseidon NFTs, which will be an actively managed treasury that utilizes the mint raise and secondary market royalties. And those will get traded and the profits redistributed to the Poseidon holders. So far we're making some good progress towards the Web3 build at the moment, much quicker than we'd expected. The token and seed vesting contracts are ready. We're going to deploy on Ethereum as an ERC20, and we'll use a layer 0 protocol to bridge when we're ready to publicly list the token on multiple chains, and we'll do so simultaneously. So this is just, again, just reviewing what we've done so far. So that's, Peak Finance. And of course, you can go to CryptoCart to purchase gift cards using Peak, whether it's groceries, electronics, even alcohol. There are a number of gift card options through our partners at CryptoCart. So minting as a service, of course, we're going to, this is just the V1 that we already have available. Our V2, we're seeking to elaborate some functions that we're pretty excited about on our end. So what's coming up? So the MVP build is underway. The contracts are mostly getting finalized. We'll spend a bit of time with Web3 integrations, as there are quite a few different moving parts, as it were, but we've got the architecture pretty much down for this. So we're really excited about that. We'll utilize the APIs from Printful for customization tools. And we're still reaching out to continue our fiat integrations, as there are a number of options: Crypto.com, MoonPay, Transact, Wirex, etc. And we're continuing to refine our redistribution router contracts as well. We're seeking to be blockchain agnostic to a fair extent, so and will be increasingly so with each deployment. The goal, of course, as we know with adoption in cryptocurrencies, we believe that the goal should be to have people operating on the blockchain without even really being very cognizant of it. To make it such a seamless user experience. So for this reason, we will need custom Oracle contracts to ensure that we have an aggregated price across all chains. So where we are now is we're approaching our seed sales. We're aiming for the middle of September for the first private seed round, and that will be at 2.5 cents with a $500,000 hard cap. 100,000 would be soft cap, I would say. Then we'd be looking at 5 cents per token on the second round, which would be 1.5 million hard cap with a 200 or I think a $500,000 soft cap. So that will be accessible for Waygoth, Poseidon, also Matisse Ninjas, just to add in, and Pond token holders, which is the bond token for the Peak Finance Protocol. Once we finalize those stages, we'll move on to Pink Sale and host the public seed sales at 7.5 cents and 10 cents. Now, these will run for some time, we suspect. We do expect that the general bear market conditions and the risk-off nature of the macro will make it quite difficult to fill some sales, but we believe that there are enough incentives in our tokenomic structure that by the time we bootstrap liquidity and we deploy it on like 5 different chains, that the liquidity mining options for staking will incentivize people to make the purchase at 10 cents, as 10 cents will be the only unvested contracts from what I've just touched on so far, meaning that they will be the only ones, apart from those that purchase off the open market after liquidity is bootstrapped, that will be able to participate in liquidity mining to get NFTA rewards. So we think that there is good incentive there and good reason for people to continue to purchase the token that, of course, will only benefit those that participate in the seed sales. So for the future, you know, this isn't just deploy the MVP and we're done. We've got a lot of plans for continued development of our products. So supplier integrations and plugins. Effectively, we want to make it so that all suppliers out there are able to provide their APIs, go through an application process so we can ensure they're legitimate, and then they should be able to integrate their APIs into our backend and making them available as a potential supplier. Auction house. So this will be an interesting development where people will be able to sell their rights to merchandise and NFT while still keeping possession of the actual NFT. So what basically would happen is that that particular token ID from that contract address would be blacklisted from staking, and either a token, either an ERC20 or 721, will be airdropped to the person who purchased the redistribution rights, and that will be whitelisted to produce that piece of merchandise. So yeah, so this will enable big blue chip brands like Cyberpunks or Bored Apes to come in and sell their distribution rights if they don't wish to stake their NFT to pursue ongoing sales of their products. So the minting as a service V2 will enable the no-code deployment of basically programmable strategies within an NFT treasury that will execute on chain. This is something we'll provide a lot more details in the future over, but we believe that this will be effectively a game changer in a lot of different ways in terms of how people approach their investing, and also under the belief that there will come a time, maybe the next bull market, maybe the one after, that NFT standards will overtake the ERC20 standard by market cap. So in the future, as we've touched on earlier, there will be some customer cashbacks through the use of the QR code upon upon their item arriving. And once they scan that QR code, it will unlock the NFTA cashback for them. They'll have a limited amount of time to do that. Anything not claimed will go to the LLC. And one of the big things that we're aiming towards is widget integration. So we want there to be NFT apparel widgets that can integrate with existing NFT marketplaces, so that when you're looking up an NFT listed on, say, OpenSea, that you could go ahead and produce merchandise picture in picture, on this, like without leaving OpenSea, and you could finalize a sale there, and the share of the profits then can go to the address that has listed the NFT for sale. So the next step then, in terms of basically the token that will signify a user's ownership of a real world item, we seek to turn that item into a 3D item, and the 3D item will be simply the shirt or the pants or the clothes or the piece of living wear, whatever it may be, and then having it be either forward or reverse compatible with metaverses to use as apparel within the metaverse, as we are aware that that is a trend. So in the future, we do seek to transition the actual governance and daily operations and partner onboarding activities to the DAO. We believe that there will be enough incentive structures whereby the participants within a DAO will have incentive to further reach out to other projects and communities, and get them to effectively utilize the protocol and with their NFTs. And we do wish to scale this NFT print on demand and profit redistribution models well beyond merchandising. Something like snowboards, skateboards, just general 3D printing. That's sort of low-hanging fruit, but we believe that the redistribution model has the potential to disrupt traditional business models in terms of how one may go starting up. So we believe that having a token-gated business could be applicable just about everywhere, whether you're running a cafe or a restaurant, or you're an electrician, or you're a plumber. We believe that having these NFT gated tokens enables external stakeholders to be able to invest in businesses of all sizes, which, as we touched on earlier, is a limitation of the existing equity environment, where you need to be licensed to trade on the stock market, or you need to pay a percentage to a broker to trade on your behalf. So that's something that we believe is a problem that we're able to solve with NFT apparel, is that it will be highly accessible. And effectively, the redistributions will be incentivized around the participation in the protocol, such as how many tokens are staked and how many sales of your NFT design on merchandise have taken place. So yeah, big thanks from us at the team at NFT Apparel. Thank you for listening today. We're looking forward to sharing more information with you in the lead up to seed sales, and sharing progress on our builds and the like. So if you're looking for more information on us, please check out our Telegram, Discord, and Twitter. We're very active on there. You can also visit the Peak Finance community too, because we're always talking about NFT apparel in there as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, and all the best.